The hole he's digging for himself has gotten deeper once again with a new video he released the other day, officially separating himself from the old audience that once made him successful and created his entire career. The video is so full of conventional woke talking points and rhetoric that you would think he's playing a caricature of a classic SJW. The entirety of it pretty much just comes from him assigning way too much importance to criticizing other content creators and flinging insults over the internet to the point where he's literally attributing it to harassment and cruelty.
You know, some of the videos I've made have been very, not edgy. I don't think they some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel. I have made some cruel, hurtful content.
This is cruelty to you? Calling other people's content bad is cruelty to you. The closest you ever came to cruelty was calling Calvin's chin weak. You claimed that the content cops were criticizing creators for lackluster reasons.
Where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons.
So the Fine Bros trying to copyright strike all React content was lackluster to you? Or Leafy, as you claim, was bullying people and using targeted harassment, something you are now so avidly against, was a lackluster reason. Apparently he believes that the entire fan base that enjoyed his content cops were just victims of his indoctrination.
It's also indoctrinated a lot of people, indoctrinating more people.
You mean making perfectly valid criticisms towards creators that needed to be held accountable for their actions and other people agreeing with those criticisms is your idea of indoctrination. Again, this is hyperbolic to what the word actually means. All this extreme language he's using is just telling me that his standards for virtue and what he considers to be evil are way out of proportion. He said a big reason why he created the content cops in the first place was because he was insecure about releasing good content and being able to entertain people with just his personality.
I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or entertain. It's one of the reasons why I, kept making this hurtful content.
Does being insecure about making good content mean you don't like the idea of releasing bad content? Because if so, I don't really understand how that's a bad thing, and I'm pretty sure all content creators share the same sentiment that care about releasing quality videos. I guess by this logic, that means the government isn't insecure at all about making terrible building materials, and is really confident about their infrastructure.
I'm not confident in my ability to entertain, and I think if I had to rely on my personality to entertain people, that I wouldn't have any amount of success.
I'm sure you'd have trouble entertaining people with just your personality nowadays, considering you've been infected by the woke anti-comedy mind virus where you have to police yourself into not being funny anymore.
Casual racism is still racism. Casual bigotry is still bigotry. It doesn't matter what my intentions are. Like, if I'm hurting people, I'm hurting people. Sarcasm and jokiness and jokey tone only goes so far, especially over the internet. Even in real life, that's like an impossible thing to know with 100% certainty.
It's impossible to recognize the tones of sarcasm and jokes if you're completely autistic, which is why you overanalyzed Sam Hyde's humor and made a gay little meta-irony circle, trying to say that his humor was a masquerade for his true feelings and identity, which is missing the entire point of a joke. You can make a joke and not unironically believe in the contents and context of the joke itself. It's that simple. Ever since the Sam Hyde documentary, you've been on this moral tirade that jokes should be treated seriously as a reflection of someone's personality and beliefs, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I've just always had this dumb philosophy that I'm not responsible for, my audience and how they behave beyond what content I put out. Just want to make it clear that I am absolutely responsible for my audience. Look out for people who are red flags. It's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
Claiming that the creator is wholly responsible for the way the fans conduct themselves has been known to be an idiotic take since the dawn of content creation. You can advocate against brigading and harassment, but past that, you shouldn't be held accountable for the way your fans act, and you're not promoting harassment by making perfectly valid criticisms against someone.
I shouldn't be able to just make an apology video and walk away from it. This is something that I should live the rest of my life with.
You claim it's something you have to live the rest of your life with and you accept full responsibility, then stop criticizing other people for doing the exact same thing. In fact, doing a way more trivial version of it, like Froggy Fresh making extremely lighthearted jokes about Anisa's OnlyFans.
I am running ads on this video, and any revenue generated from this video, I'm going to match and donate to an organization that would have been particularly affected by the type of rhetoric that I've been spewing on this channel.
You're gonna donate money to a charity of people who are particularly affected by what you did? What did you do? Criticize other people's content over the internet? This sounds like the most useless charity ever. What does the money actually go to? Who are these victims? This sounds like the most useless charity ever for a problem that is clinically first world in nature. That's how you know we have it good in society, when we treat problems like this so seriously that we open charities up for them.
I don't feel like a lot of this content represents me as a person, at least not anymore. There was a time where it probably perfectly represented me, because I was a nasty, apathetic, insecure person.
You were an insecure person then, and you're an insecure person now. The only difference is that you channeled that virgin rage into generating success and making good content for your career. Now you channel it into being a sensitive, vindictive, spiteful moron and making everybody hate you.
And for anyone who liked those videos, I want this video to be an example and a lesson for you. You can like content, but you can also think that it's irresponsible and it's hurting other people.
Oh, you can like content, but you have to feel guilty about liking it, because the video you're watching and finding funny is causing literal, actual harm to people. He apologizes to all the black viewers for using the N-word in a non-derogatory context, almost like he's not giving them the autonomy to decide for themselves whether or not it should be interpreted in a derogatory sense, or if it was targeting them whatsoever.
I'm also sorry to all the black viewers and minority groups who had to put up with that video and put up with the phrases. I said either it's all okay or none of it's okay. And that's just so dangerous and stupid.
It's all okay or none of it's okay is dangerous and stupid. How? I mean, it was referring to having a double standard for racially derogatory terms that are equally offensive to each other. What about that phrase is actually wrong or dangerous in that context?
I have made content that I am proud of over the years.
There's a lot of content that you're proud of besides the content cops? Like what content? Playing with squirrels? Or exposing a fat kid's fucked up life to the world and then refusing to help him after he's struggling and making $200 a month while you made hundreds of thousands off of his own documentary?
I reached out to Ian for help that day, and Ian never fucking replied. I messaged IDubbbz the other day. I said, hey, can you just share my stream around? I didn't ask him for money or anything. I said, hey, share my stream around. Looked at the message and never fucking replied.
The irony is that the big bad boogeyman who shall not be named and is your mortal enemy has done more good for him than you ever have done, including him on his show like Fish Tank and generating success for him and actually giving him money and a place to stay. And he's not a total insecure narcissistic freak like you are.
I also want to give some clarity to the post-fight speech that I gave. That was addressing the people over the years that I neglected and I left behind. The people whose feelings I, didn't take into consideration.
The people whose feelings you didn't take into consideration? You mean like postmenopausal internet police H3H3 fans who want to silence everyone who disagrees with them? Yeah, you want to be their cup of tea, don't you? I'm sure they'll treat you just as well as they've treated many of their idols. And I'm sure they'll treat you much better than your old loyal fan base did.
This particular fan came up to me and said, I know you probably don't like
Transformer
people, but can I, get a picture? Why would you think that? That is a very fair assessment to make. I was giving this person bad vibes, and I think I've given a lot of people extremely bad vibes.
You think it's fairly obvious why somebody thought you hated Transformers? Do you think it's reasonable to believe that somebody has a belief that they've never expressed in their life before purely because they give you bad vibes? Are you serious? I love how common the same mindset is for politically affiliating people, where they'll just create an entire identity and paradigm about somebody that doesn't exist and that they just created in their heads. Oh, maybe if he doesn't think that the N-word should be held to such high esteem, that he's automatically Transformer-phobic. Really? How do these things correlate at all? How? What is the correlation?
Just the amount of hate and harassment my wife Anisa has received over the years. It's not my problem that you're getting hate and harassment. And it's like, no, it absolutely is. That's the culture that I cultivated. I don't think I've still fully acknowledged how responsible I am for the amount of harassment that Anisa has had to deal with.
You're responsible for Anisa's so-called harassment because of the culture of harassment that you cultivated? Well, your biggest example of harassment was a Tana Mojo content cop, which wouldn't exist if it weren't for Anisa, because it was literally Anisa's idea.
I also take ownership for the Tana. The Tana thing was my.
Oh, that was so long ago.
Was my idea. Was my stupid idea.
Yeah.
I was the one
He
that was.
suggested, like, we can go to the place.
So is Anisa not responsible for the culture of harassment that she cultivated?
But the antisocial basement-dwelling incel that was inside here, I couldn't acknowledge that. I couldn't recognize that. So I needed the mirror to be held up to me.
Well, whatever was inside of there, we need that antisocial basement dweller back on the platform, generating good content again.
Of course I have empathy. I never did. I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability, empathy. At the age of 32, I've acquired empathy. I just can't help myself, feel for other people's pain and suffering now.
You call it gaining empathy, I call it assigning way too much seriousness into criticizing people over the internet because you spend way too much time inside and you've lost touch with reality where real people are suffering and real evil exist. Not cyberspace cruelty and flinging insults over YouTube.
I do want to create more regular content, so I have uploaded a squirrel video.
Ah yes, our first introduction to the Born Again IDubbbz is another squirrel video. Not really my cup of tea, but I guess he doesn't want to be my cup of tea anymore.
I am very insecure.
You're insecure about making successful content, huh? Well, be prepared to release the least successful content you've ever made in your entire career after alienating your whole fan base that made you and you cultivated.
Appreciate my wife, Anisa. She has legitimately encouraged me to be a better person.
Yeah, and she also encouraged you to harass Tana Mojo. Notice how these YouTube apology videos are always in different settings than the YouTuber normally records in. Like, this has been a meme since 2015, and usually these people who make YouTube apologies are complete douchebag, unlikable people anyways. Anyways, I think I've said enough. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Mwah! Peace!
Black viewers